All right, good morning, KOTA territory. Welcome to the KOTA Now desk here. Today we're back for First Sip. It's been a while since we've done an actual live stream for one of these.
I know.
I miss you guys. I miss your comments. I miss talking to you guys directly. It's kind of fun,
Yeah.
It's always fun to hear what you guys have to say, especially when you join in on the conversation. But if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or even our website, thank you for joining us here. Hopefully you have a nice cup of warm, cold coffee, or honestly your preferred beverage in the morning.
My warm coffee was warm, but it's kind of cold now.
And
it's almost iced.
And you know what I just realized? I forgot my water at my desk, but that's all right. We're gonna.
What are you gonna do without your emotional support mug?
It's all right. You know what? Maybe I'm unhinged this morning. Maybe we'll get a little unhinged.
Unhinged.
Yes, during
Unhinged
this
first sip. Let's do it. All right. So I think first we were going to talk about coffee versus energy drinks, because I know that's like a hot topic on at least my For You page, especially with all the fall flavors coming out of energy drinks right now. I know that a lot of people have been talking about the Alani Witch's Brew, which is supposed to be like caramel apple flavored.
Oh yeah,
flavored.
I have heard of that one. That one has popped up on my social media pages. Also, I thought you were going to mention the highly anticipated pumpkin spice.
Oh yes, the pumpkin spice latte. Didn't that come out on Monday?
Yeah, it came out early this week. It came out early. Yes.
I'm really excited about that. But there are some things you need to think about when we're talking about caffeine consumption in general. Just generally, you shouldn't have more than 400 milligrams of caffeine per day. So that's about four cups of drip coffee. And a shot of espresso typically has a different amount, so Google that. I don't know it off the top of my head. And then energy drinks can vary. Make sure you're reading the health labels on that, because they'll let you know on the nutrition label there. But some of these energy drinks can have as much as 200 milligrams of caffeine, so that's only 2 per day, and you should probably really space those out and take your time with it, or else you're gonna get those jittery feelings, and shaky.
Well, it's also not to bash on energy drinks, because I feel like some people prefer energy drinks and
I'm an energy
and all that.
drink.
And I don't, it's not for everyone, but people kind of prefer them, but they also have a lot of sugar.
Yeah,
that's another
even if
thing.
you're drinking the sugar-free ones, those sugar-free like aspartame type things can be not great for you either. So
they have a ton,
pick and choose type.
You got to look at that label. And coffee is, especially coffee isn't also the best. Just putting it out there, but. If it's usually
if you're having black coffee, there can actually be some good things to it that you talked about. But again, with the sugar thing, on that same note, if you're adding
tons
creamer
of syrups.
and syrups and all that stuff, you can run into some of those same sugar problems.
Not saying you can't enjoy it. Like you can have. I was gonna say one of the bigger things that I also noticed on various health websites was don't deter yourself from don't think that this as I can't drink it ever. You can treat yourself every once in a while to a nice pumpkin spice latte or a nice sugary.
On Saturday mornings, I get a cinnamon roll coffee from 7 Brew. That's my go-to order there, but that is my sugary coffee of the week.
Now that fall's here, I usually every Friday, or I'm trying to do every Friday.
Every Friday?
Yes, I'm gonna go to the Bucks and get myself a nice pumpkin spice latte with a nice whipped cream. Not for breakfast, for dessert.
Dessert, 100%. In college, when they used to, me and my roommates used to go all together. We'd pile in one car and go to the drive-through and grab pumpkin spice lattes all together. It was such a great thing.
That's always wonderful. But enough talking about these sugary beverages. Let's actually look into some of the reasons why black coffee could be beneficial to you over energy drinks. Again, not saying that you can't drink energy drinks. Go for it if you want to. But I'm just saying this black coffee has some health benefits if it's drank in kind of small quantities. So first of all, we're talking about rich in antioxidants. Fewer additives, of course. It's just black coffee. You're just drinking coffee for the most part, unless the coffee you're getting is not in the bag. It would say if it has anything else. But then potential health benefits, we're looking at a reduced risk of type 2 diabetes, liver disease, heart attack, stroke, and neurodivergent conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's can actually, studies have shown, at least the ones that I read from university hospitals, the studies that they published on their website, universityhospitals.org, kind of showed that there is a very, a cup or two a day can actually, in the long term, lower the risk of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, which is really impressive. And again, like I said, every once in a while, not every day, once every other day, drink a cup or two of coffee, and that can actually in the long term benefit you. And also it actually provides more sustained energy than energy drinks, just because you're not drinking as much sugar.
Crash.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and another interesting thing that I saw with the coffee versus energy drinks debate is typically coffee used to be per serving the cheaper option for folks, but because of price increases across the board, on average, an energy this is from the Wall Street Journal, by the way. On average, an energy drink now costs around $3.45, while ready-to-drink tea and coffee options sell for $3.39, and refrigerated options are $3.84. So, you know, now they're kind of comparable in prices, but it's still going to be cheaper most of the time if you're getting, you know, drip coffee at home. You know, from your coffee machine.
Also, you can enjoy, you know, nice morning, making your morning cup of coffee before you head to work.
Oh, it's a total ritual type of thing.
Yes, it is very nice to do that. Especially if, again, like I said, if you just drink black coffee, which is the preferred way to drink coffee in general. But again, drink to your own risk. Desire, yes.
Drink at your own risk. I think our next topic that I wanted to talk about was recession pop, because I feel like that's another super trendy topic on TikTok right now. People are like, oh, recession pop is back, recession pop is back. But what is it? Throughout the history of music, people have looked to music for escapism during stressful times. So usually it's like these catchier tunes. Think of like TikTok by Kesha, DJ Got Us Fallen in Love by Usher, Party in the USA, Club Can't Handle Me by Flo Rida. All those songs, you know, and especially you think about these songs that are like, oh, I can't pay my rent, but at least I'm partying, those type of things, you know.
Yeah, that definitely reminds me a lot of Kesha.
Yeah.
Early Lady Gaga and whatnot, which is actually kind of funny. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be, you know, a nice way for people to kind of, a good way to kind of counterpoint reality or kind of deal with what they're doing, what they're going through that day or that week or that month.
What song is it in where it's like, I knew my rent was going to be late about
Oh my goodness.
Like songs like that.
My goodness. Isn't that Flo Rida?
I think so. I think that maybe is Club Can't Handle
Flo Rida, sorry.
Yeah.
Flo Rida, not Flo Rider, my bad.
You're going to say Flynn Rider, like the Disney character.
Yes, going to come in with, wait, no, that's Rapunzel, the one with the one that comes in with the frying pan.
Yep, that's what you're thinking of right now.
Yes.
But yeah, and the reason that people think it's coming back, and I know we talked about this a little bit on Good Morning Black Hills, was, you know, we've gotten some big releases from these big pop artists from the Great Recession, that like 2000s era. Kesha has released new music, Lady Gaga has released new music, Katy Perry has released new music. So
even if it's just re-released music from the past too, you know.
Oh yeah, even the Taylor's version stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of these artists do when they are able to, they do kind of re-release their music in order for you to be able to enjoy it again as kind of a reminiscent time or kind of feel nostalgia for that time.
And you mentioned that there was other eras of this sort of music too.
Yeah, so actually, you know, the more popular one is, of course, 07 to 2012, when a lot of the more popular music that we, Gen Z at least, know of. But some of you watching right now might be a lot or just a bit older than us, and you guys know a lot more music than us, because this started in the 1980s, or at least it can be traced to the 1980s. It could have been done even way back, but current studies show that it's being traced back to the 1980s, even in the early 2000s. A lot of, you know, the unfortunate event that happened in September 2001, that did bring up a lot of different types of music to come up from that. But certain things like that, 1980s, 1970s, oh yeah, wait, hold up. Sorry.
70s, right?
70s, not 80s. 70s music.
Gonna jump in on that.
Yes.
I was like, the 70s I feel like was an era of music defined by sort of that like escapist kind of
disco
fun stuff. Yes.
Disco era.
Like that's sort of recession poppy, right? Like disco themes. And I feel like a lot of recession pop artists will take inspiration from the 70s.
Yep. And exactly. And then that bubblegum pop aspect came from the 2000s. So yes, that's kind of, again, primarily from that unfortunate event on September.
Speaking of music, this is totally unrelated, but the Sabrina Carpenter album comes out at 10 p.m. Mountain Time tonight, and I'm really excited for it.
Actually, I'm glad that you brought up Sabrina Carpenter, because that's another reason why it's coming back into recession pop is actually coming back.
I love
it's
her.
Because of new artists as well, Chappell Roan being one, Sabrina Carpenter being another, but also because it's not just me, but a lot of us have seen a lot of these songs being played, or some might say overly played, on social media. And social media plays a huge aspect as to why this music is trending right now. is because it's so accessible now compared to previous music that wasn't as accessible. You'd have to buy a CD, or you'd have to listen to it through the radio if you had a radio, or by word of mouth. So a lot of this music is actually being kind of pushed more. It's being pushed faster for whether that's good or bad, right? It's just being pushed faster, and it's to bigger audience worldwide, not just in a selective country.
Yeah, and that's been, you know, just a trend generally with social media, is it does tend to speed up the cycle in which we return to music. So that's probably why we're seeing, you know, recession pop, something that was popular in 2007 to 2012, come back in 2025, because the cycle has already we've already kind of gone through a lot of these revivals. You know, I've seen the like indie sleaze revival, and like, you know, a lot of that stuff is coming back because of these online communities.
And also, don't be surprised, according to Billboard, taking a little quote from them, don't be surprised if you start seeing a new version of recession pop start popping up, or a new term for recession pop to start kind of being popping up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I think, you know, moving on from that, going to our next topic, I want to talk about rebrands too, because I think that's kind of a making something old new again, right?
Yes.
And that one's come up a lot because of the whole Cracker Barrel controversy that I know that we've gotten into a bit on the show. But we wanted to talk about, like, why do brands do this? And so something I've noticed is they do this to kind of adapt to the market trends, right? They want to make logos that are simpler, since that's trending right now, and that's like a more Instagrammable logo, something you would see someone pull out their phone, take a picture of, post to social media, because that's free marketing for them right there. And then change in consumer opinions on a brand. So sometimes new logos can look a certain way and convey a certain message. So some examples that I have is, like, healthier brands will typically stick to earth tones, or eco-friendly brands will stick to earth tones to convey that eco-friendly thing and signal that.
It's kind of crazy how color plays a role in a lot of these brands.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Wild.
Well, yeah, think about any brand, their colors are a huge part of that. You know, like Culver's, for example. When you think Culver's, you think that blue, right?
Blue and white.
And so another one.
Actually, I think cheese curds.
Well, I think that too, and ranch, cheese curds and ranch.
Yes.
That's the way. That's the best way to eat them. And then another one is changing brand services or goods. So sometimes, like, when brands merge or acquire other brands, they have to kind of adapt everything so that it fits their main mission and logo. Yeah. So I know you talked a little bit about some of the digital adaptability, which I thought was important.
Yeah, it's actually really cool because you know, sometimes a lot of these companies, when us as a consumer view a rebrand, and we hold a brand near and dear to our hearts, a lot of the time we tend to kind of feel a little
jaded.
Yeah, annoyed that they changed their branding, especially if it's something as iconic as maybe McDonald's, or as iconic as I know a lot of the current one was Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, people were mad about that.
Yeah, so I can understand the pushback against it, because it's near and dear to people's hearts, and it's something that they've made tradition. I know one of our coworkers used to go to Cracker Barrel a lot as a little kid. Not going to say who, but one of our coworkers has that story. But the reason being, as Mimi mentioned, a lot of these rebrands happen because it is more digitally friendly. When it comes to a logo that's very complex, right? You add a person, you add a character from a video game, you add something, I guess,
exciting
complicated thing. Yes, complicated.
It can be hard to fit it into that little circle that we all call a profile picture, which is really important for brands now because of how social media impacts marketing.
Yes, and for that marketing, we're talking about merch too. So merch being merchandise. Sorry, I get too caught up with my acronyms. But yeah, merchandise. Is another reason, a big reason why these companies tend to rebrand a lot of this merchandise. It'd be cheaper if they lose some of the other aspects to their logo and just make it simple, which is why, again, we've seen that push for more simple and more modern designs as of right now.
And it's interesting to look at those compared to when they didn't need that digital adaptability. I don't know if you've looked at, like, old like Pepsi stuff. You know, they have like little not animated, designed on drops, you know, like the three-dimensional drops to make the can look like it's sweating. It's just stuff that you don't see as often because of the way that things need to be digitally consistent between every brand.
Okay, hot topic here before we change to our last topic. Yes. A question for you watching, also a question for Mimi here. Do you think that because we've switched to the digital age, we've made at least kind of coming up with a logo kind of just uninspiring.
You know, I actually have gotten kind of into this. I fell down like a huge YouTube and Google rabbit hole with this topic when I was like a couple weeks ago, actually, before we even wanted to talk about this on First Sip. But I think it's really interesting to see how brands are following these trends so incredibly, because if you think about it, prior to, what was it, like iOS 7?
Yes.
Like the Apple iOS 7 rebrand, a lot of brands still had these very three-dimensional, complex logo and design choices.
The Instagram Polaroid application.
Yes, like the camera. Yes, all of those things. And I think it's interesting now how Apple has started to shift back to a more, three-dimensional or shading, kind of making things a little more complex, and other brands are following that. So I'm interested to see how the trend sort of moves because of these, graphic design giants like Apple, which has, a huge impact on everyday life, especially if you're someone who has an iPhone or a Mac or whatever.
And personal opinion, I think simple is not better sometimes. I personally really miss, for those watching right now, I personally really, really miss the old YouTube TV.
Yes, that was so cool.
For those who know, you know.
Yes, I also miss like the old Instagram logo. I think that was great as an app to have just the little camera, because it used to be
it was a Polaroid. Yes.
Yeah, it used to be a photography app.
All right, well, back on topic here. Going to the last thing we're talking about today, this morning, off-grid living.
Yes, I want to get into this because, if there's one thing about me, it's I'm going to be on YouTube and I'm going to have it playing in the background constantly at home. And one thing that I have noticed is people are obsessed with the idea of living off the grid.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's just the side of YouTube that I've fallen onto recently, but people are doing like the homesteading thing a lot, which is like a permanent house location that you have, but you're also pretty independent with food, energy, water, even sometimes waste. You can be pretty independent with. And then tiny homes is another thing I see a ton of. I don't know if anyone is on the tiny home side of TikTok.
I used to be. I know my girlfriend is right now.
It's so fun to look at.
I'm kind of jealous because a lot of the times these creators come out with a new tiny home video, or I just made my tiny home, and my girlfriend shows me the videos, and I'm like.
And they're all so DIY savvy. I think that's why it's so inspiring.
Yes, and they're really cool. I'm considering now.
Yeah, or van life is another one that I know that is huge and trending right now on social media. And that's more of a travel-y, off-grid
I was going to say something alongside that kind of pertains to the Black Hills and kind of tourism season as a whole. A lot of the van life, I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of the van life kind of, not even social media, but van life around here is huge during tourism season because a lot of those workers are coming from elsewhere around the country. The way they make their way here, though, is van. And so they have to live at some of these RV locations or find a place that, again, is that the county allows them to be at in order to be kind of station themselves there and work for that season, which is really cool.
And another a kind of aspect of that too is I've seen people convert their cars into things that they can use sort of as a living space as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a huge RV. It can also be any kind of vehicle. And then the last one that I have, the last way that people are doing this off-grid thing that I have seen a little bit of, maybe less just because these people aren't on social media as much, but these eco villages, which is a community of people kind of homesteading together.
Right. So. And something interesting about some of those, so here's something really cool that I recently found out just because I was kind of doing more research on it. It's actually easier, or it's a little bit more easy for a lot of these places to get internet connection now, or be connected to the internet because of sources like Starlink and stuff like that, which is interesting to me. I'm more interested and kind of want to find out the impact. I know that Starlink has a huge impact in rural communities around the world, not just here in the nation, but around the world, which is interesting. I want to do more research on that because it's something that I'm curious about and want to know more.
We should look into that for next week because I'm definitely, because one of the reasons why people got so into this.
And I say Starlink because that's the bigger, that's the one that you hear all the time. I know there's various other companies. I'm just not aware of it, but I know that that's one of the bigger ones. So I'm not promoting, I'm just saying that's the bigger one that I've heard of all the time. It gets pushed on a lot of my social media feeds.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, and the reason that that's interesting to me is I think because post-COVID, there's been a huge boom in this off-grid kind of lifestyle because people were able to work remote and work from home.
Exactly.
I mean, you didn't have to go into the office, so why should you live in the big city? Why not take a step and go to somewhere quieter, have a quieter, slower life?
Exactly. And really quickly, along those lines, kind of wanting to do that before we wrap up here this morning, some challenges you want to keep in mind if you do plan on kind of doing this lifestyle or transitioning into this lifestyle. And I'll list them out, is high initial costs, resource management, legal hurdles, and technical expertise. So what each one of those means, let's start with the first one, right? So the initial cost, first of all, you have to buy that tiny home, right? You have to build it or you have to build it or buy it. So that's one of the, that in itself, you need planning ahead of time to be able to purchase something like that. In fact, kind of fully got this information from EcoFlow. Fully off-grid systems involve enormous initial investments, solar installations, water systems, and backup generators. All of this can, maximum can probably cost you, depending on which state you're at or where you buy it from, can cost you up to over $75,000.
Oh my God. Probably even more than that with all the maintenance that you have to do. And I know a lot of people, you've mentioned
technical expertise,
the technical expertise aspect of things. If you're DIYing stuff, you need to know how to do it. And a lot of times you won't have people who can come out and help you when, a pipe is leaking or your toilet won't flush or
yes,
like that.
You pretty much got to make, your RV, your home, you got to know the ins and outs of your wherever you're at.
System.
Yes, and that's one, right? Resource management. You got to know, how much resources you're spending. Again, you're storing that energy throughout the day to be able to use it at night, right? With solar energy and whatnot. So you got to know how to manage your resources with your water, especially with that. A lot of the time, a lot of these places or a lot of these people tend to use public locations to be able to kind of equal out that aspect of it,
Oh my gosh, yeah, a lot of RV places will let you plug into power or use showers there or, bathrooms and stuff like that, so.
Electricity, that's another one. That. But then also legal hurdles. Not every location is suitable for an off-grid living lifestyle. Check your county.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to be able to do that in like a big city or suburbs.
Check your county, check the city, check the ordinances.
Especially with what animals you're allowed to have too, if that's something you want.
Because that is very important. You don't want anything bad to happen, especially if you're off-grid living. But again, check your ordinances so that way you don't get in trouble. Make sure that you're not breaking the law when you start to do your adventure into the off-grid living if you are so planning to do so.
Yeah.
But those are the topics for this week. I know it was a lot. Hopefully you stayed with us and hopefully you finished your cup of coffee or cup of water while you were listening to us yap this morning.
Today.
Yes, big yappers. But thank you so much for tuning in this morning. We hope you enjoyed. We'll see you right back here next Thursday. Hopefully, we're trying to get these more consistent.
Yes, hopefully I'm not doing something crazy like a hot air balloon.
Except she always keeps leaving now.
I'm sorry. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for DIY Friday Delights. It's going to be a sweet treat, so make sure you join us for that.
All right. Well, with that being said, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday morning. See ya.